I'm sourcing products from boscovs.com onto Amazon. In other words, I am taking products that are on the boscovs.com website and I'm finding those same products selling on Amazon, hopefully at a higher price. But I'm using a Google Sheet to do that. A Google Sheet that actually searches the product titles and then finds those products on Amazon. So now that was what I started to do in the previous video, and what I will do now in this video. And by the way, if you want to see the whole process of taking the products from Boscovs, this was the kitchen and dining category, for instance. If you want to see the process of taking products from a category, putting them into this Google Sheet, and then having it start to find Amazon links, you have to check out the previous video, which I'll have linked in the description of this video, so you can go back and see that process. But right now, what I want to do is go ahead and start actually looking at some of the matches that were found. Now, you can see that there are a ton of products here where an Amazon match was not found. However, I have thousands of products in here, and so amongst these thousands of products, if even some of them found matches, if there were matches for some of them, there's a good chance I can find something that is profitable out of these thousands of products. Let's see how many matches I have so far. And so the best thing to do is to make sure that you have this filter on row 5. Okay, so what I'll do is turn the filter off with remove filter to make sure that you have the filter. So what you'll do is click on the number 5 over here, which is row 5. Once you click on that number 5, the entire row is selected. Then you will click data and then create a filter. Once you do that, a filter is created. What we need to do here is just to see the products where there's an Amazon URL. So basically, we're just going to remove the blanks, right? And that's easy to do. Just click Amazon URL, filter up here, find where it says blanks here, turn it off, take off that check mark, click OK, and then you'll see all of the Amazon URLs right in the list. So out of the products that it's been through so far, these are the ones that it was able to match. And just as a quick recap, these products were taken from Kitchen and Dining, and it was actually 123 pages of products. It was about, I think, 4,000, and it's not done matching yet. But just to let you know, it was like a few thousand, maybe 4. As a matter of fact, the number of products, 4,372 in total. It's right here. And this is the last row that was matched, 3,296. Okay, so far 39 products, only 39 were matched. All right, so imagine if you were doing this manually by hand, how much slower that would be. So anyway, let's take a look at. I did start to go through some of these, on my own, and some of these will match and some of them will not, quite possibly. But a lot of times you can kind of get a preview here. Here's a random product I'll just look at, for instance. Okay, yes, I looked at this one in the previous video and that was not a match, so I won't bother with that one. I already found a match and I would just like to point that out. I'll just point that out first, which is this Rachel Ray 10-piece set here. So let's take a look at the product on boscovs.com, this Rachel Ray 10-piece, which is $149.99, and then look at the same product on Amazon, and I've already looked at this. So these are links, by the way. The URLs are over here. You can also open from the URL, but the asterisk is there for convenience. And here's the same product. Now this product is what we call unqualified buy box, so it doesn't have a buy box. All right, so we have to see what, or rather who is selling it. See all buying options. We see only one seller selling it, $259.63, considerably higher than the price on Boscovs. Are they getting sales? Well, I mean, you can always look at the rank of the product and try to kind of determine where the product ranks. And first of all, before we get into all of that further stuff, let's calculate profit, because with a high price item we have higher fees. So $259.63. I'm sure this is profitable already, but what I'll do is come back here to this the sheet. Now, title, price, all of this stuff is blank. I do have an automation, a browser automation that can pull these data from the ASINs, but I'm skipping that over into the supplier data. This is 1 unit. You're just purchasing 1 unit of this whole thing. If you expect shipping, right? So basically what I'm doing right now is calculating the cost of the product, right? What the product could cost. The shipping charge is right here. The shipping charge for this item is $12.95. That's clear as day. So where it says shipping here, I will simply change that to $12.95. So the subtotal is now $162.94. Where does that come from? Well, the original price is $149.99. You're buying 1 unit, right? 1 unit means this whole thing is a unit. This whole set, right, is 1 unit. $149.99. We add shipping. Okay, $162.94. Then we apply tax to it. If you're drop shipping, this is a very drop shipping friendly sort of product because it's a big set, which would be a lot to put together and send into Amazon. So you probably would more likely be wanting to drop ship this type of product. So worst case tax, depending on where the buyer is located, could be 10%. So putting that in, worst case tax of $16.29. However, if you did want to arbitrage the product, then you could use tax wherever you plan to ship it to, like where you live, if that's where you process your products, okay, or ship your products. The tax is calculated. The total cost is determined by taking the tax, of course, adding it with this subtotal, right? This is 10% of that, 10% tax. So now you've got a total cost of $179.23. What is your cost per unit? Well, you're buying 1 unit for this total cost. You're getting 1 unit, so it's $179.23 per unit. It's just the same thing as the total cost. How many, now you have the number of items per unit. It doesn't really apply in this case, all right? So don't really, most cases, a lot of, those little unit things won't apply. It's usually just 1. So, just 1, okay? You're not unbundling it, so you can ignore that. So the cost per item, which is the whole set in this case, is $179.23, okay? So the number of items per ASIN, this means like if it's a 1-pack or a 2-pack or whatever. Most cases, you just leave the set 1, right? You're just selling 1 on Amazon. You're not selling like 2 sets on Amazon or something like that. So it's usually just going to be 1. And so the cost per ASIN is just whatever the cost is for the, on Boscov's. So whatever that total cost is, that's what it's going to cost you to, fulfill each ASIN, right? From the supplier, I mean. Now, we have the referral fee. Now we get onto the Amazon part of things, right? Because now, okay, fine. We know it's going to supplier cost per ASIN, I should say, really, is $179.23. Okay, now what fee are we going to be charged by Amazon? Well, it's 15% referral fee. All right. And then first of all, what is the Amazon price? Sorry, I completely skipped price over here. Sorry about that. So first of all, what is the Amazon price? All right, I should have put that in first. So the Amazon price by this other seller is $259.63. So $259.63. Right. And so now if I go back over to and I know the rest of that is blank, and that's okay for right now. We just want to look at the profitability for the moment. We have now the referral fee, okay, which is 15% of that selling price. So if we're to sell at the same price as the other seller, all right, this is the profit we would end up with by subtracting the fee, the 15% fee, okay? All right, that calculation is done for you, right? You can see in here that I subtracted the percentage here. So 1 minus 15%, which is 85%, right? I subtracted 15% from that selling price. And then I continue to subtract any other fees that there are, such as, this FBA fee. I also subtract the cost of the item, the cost for the ASIN, which is AE. I also subtract the shipping, if you have any shipping here. Okay, so if you're good with formulas, you can kind of examine it a bit further, but basically the formula is good, and then you can subtract other, right? If you want to adjust it, you can adjust it. So that's one advantage of this over sourcing software, is that it's more adjustable. Now, you see that a profit is calculated from this. We have an FBA profit per ASIN. We don't have the FBA fee, so this is not really the FBA profit, okay? Without the FBA fee, we don't know what the profit is for FBA, right? So we have to get that fee. However, in working with, through experience, I already know, I mean, just the number of items and the size of this thing, right? This is not going to be a small FBA fee, right? It's going to be a considerable FBA fee. I can't really just estimate it like that, but I mean, you know, and I'll probably most definitely be wrong if I just put a number in here, right? But you know, it'll be on the higher side, I would say, for FBA fees, right? So that's basically going to subtract from your FBA profit, right? So for FBM, which would be drop shipping, for instance, you would be looking at a $41 profit with a 23% return. And this would be it because there's no FBA fee. And if you're drop shipping, you've already calculated in the shipping over here, right? Boscov's charges $12.95 for shipping. So you already have everything you need to calculate the profit. And this will light up and say it has profit. That means that there's some kind of profit somewhere in here. All right, whether FBA or FBM. And if you do want to figure out FBA fees, however, there is a revenue calculator. And guess what? You don't have to even have a seller account on Amazon to use this. You can continue as a guest. All right, because I'm not on this Chrome profile is not even where it's not where my Amazon seller account is, and I'm not in my Amazon seller, right? And I just signed in as a guest, and you can still use this. So in fact, let's try it out. Let's try taking this ASIN. I'll take. I mean, I could take it from the spreadsheet, just since we're using the spreadsheet. I'll just copy it from the spreadsheet, Rachel Ray, right? And I'll put it in here and search the Amazon catalog and see what comes up. And, you know, and let's see what other kinds of data we get here. We also get the sales rank, you know, and then if you, you know, you can kind of get an idea of sales from this. I think they have some kind of tables you can use. I mean, I've seen other people come up with it. You can kind of get an idea. It's really the top percentage that you want to know for the rank, you know. But keeping it simple right now, you know, that's, to me, not a bad rank considering the profit is, the ROI is high. Because once you can always lower the ROI, lowering your price, and what will happen is the product will sell more. That will just like make it sell more. So, from my experience, now basically, what are we looking at here? Referral fee, fulfillment costs. Let's see the details here. The FBA fulfillment fees, $16.44. Is that what it is? And if you want to add on any of these, you want them to do bag in, tape, label. This is quite detailed. I mean, you can really calculate all the cost in here. The storage, even storage costs. This is good. So you can see with FBA, you're looking at a lot. I mean, you know, these are optional. You can always do these things yourself, but it's just if you wanted to do those services. So, but I was going to say about $15 for the FBA fee. I would not have been that far off. But it's actually $16.44. So that's great. We have an exact FBA fee, and it turns out at this, even at the price. Now, something else to consider, and you know, this is kind of outside of the sourcing area. This is just like selling on Amazon in general. Is that when you do FBA, you're Prime, you're Amazon Prime. That, you know, Amazon Prime is valued a bit higher, meaning people will tend to will pay more. They have the Amazon Prime membership, and you know, they just will kind of just go for that Amazon Prime item. So you would be the only Amazon Prime seller, for instance, on this listing at this point, right? And so that in of itself might allow you to sell the product at that higher price more easily. So even though you do have the added FBA fee as an FBA seller, keep in mind there are a lot of people who won't buy things if it's not FBA, and then there are people who will, which is why dropshipping still works. But just keeping in mind, even though you have a higher FBA fee, people are willing to pay for FBA. The type of shopper that buys Amazon Prime only is not really too concerned about the price, I don't think, Amazon just has so much traffic compared to any other website. So, all of that is to be considered. $25 profit per ASIN FBA, estimated $41 per ASIN for FBM. That's the store ends product. The other issue we get into, because the thing is that I did not start off with brands research, so I don't know the brand. Well, I know the brand. Sorry, let me rephrase it. I don't know the brand safety or what's happening with the brand. However, I do use a Chrome extension in this case called IP Alert. And what IP Alert does is it simply gives me a green check mark if it's not known to file IP complaints. For brands that are known to file IP complaints, I'll get a some kind of alert. So that helps me have a little more confidence in the brand safety. The other thing you can do is just Google, not really Google, but search the brand on Amazon itself. And I don't really want to lose this window per se, but you can search the brand. I've done it in other videos. Go through the products and just kind of see, that make sure the brand's not sold by the brand owner. See if there are like other fulfilled by merchant people selling it, and you can kind of get an idea of, well, if so many other people are able to sell this brand, and it's not really, it doesn't seem like there's an issue, and the brand owner's not selling it, and there's a better chance that it's probably okay, and you can just go ahead and sell it. Otherwise, you get a steep discount on IP Alert. With me, I worked out a steep discount. You can't get this discount by Googling IP Alert and going to the IP Alert page. You're not going to get the discount that way. So you can use my link. You'll get a steep discount, 30%. They have a lifetime as well as an annual membership. And hint, the lifetime is not much more than the annual membership. And the cost is much lower to pay for that than it is to pay monthly. Even for 1 year, your lifetime membership is cheaper. I don't like to talk about price because it's not like my product. Obviously, I don't sell IP Alert, but basically, what you pay for a monthly software that can help you with brands, you will spend a lot more than you spend buying a lifetime membership, especially with the steep discount of 30%, even without the discount. Okay, so I'll just put it like that. All right. However, there's monthly software that I suggest if you're doing FBA that you have, and maybe you want to use that instead. And that would be Sell Assistant app, and I have a link for that also, because Sell Assistant app will give you all this data. It'll give you a lot of data that you see, even like here, it'll give you that, but it does a lot of other things, that I can't even get into. That Sell Assistant app helps you do a product research. So you can check links for either of those. Because the brand issue of what, is happening with this brand is important, not just profit. Profitability, brand safety. These are two things we have to be concerned about when we're looking at products randomly, because the brands are all over the place. I have Sweet Home Collection. I've got this brand. Well, a lot of Sweet Home Collection on this page, but, there are other brands as well. And when I start off with brand research, I've already researched Hamilton Beach, for instance. And let's say I know Hamilton, I've done the research and I've decided Hamilton Beach is okay. Well, then if I'm just sourcing Hamilton Beach products, I already know that I'm okay with the brand. But if I haven't done that, if I'm just looking at all these different products on Boscov's, which is what I'm doing, right? I have all these different brands all over the place and I haven't researched them. So this is where the software will come in handy in helping you cut down on that and letting you sort of know if the brand is known to file IP complaints or not right away, okay, without you spending a lot of time. So that's really it. I could look at tons of more products there, go through more product results, but this is one that I already did find and that turned out to be profitable and that I was able to calculate the profit for. That is really it as far as this Google Sheet, except for the automation which I'll have to do in another video, where the browser automation will go through, pick up the ASINs, and actually pull the data from Amazon and drop it right in here. The brand, the title, and all of that, where it ships from, sold by. That data will be pulled in for you. Okay, I think about up to this column, and that's it. However, if you use Keepa data features, you'll be able to get even more data, like, FBA sellers, FBM rank, and all of that. And there's tons of more data that you get with Keepa. So you'll have to take these ASINs and put them into Keepa. And Keepa will get all of that different data for you. So that's but the point here is that you can do this whole process without any paid software at all, just using this Google Sheet. I'm just stating to you some of the other optional software you have, but you can source products like I just did here, sourced and found a profitable product completely just with this spreadsheet, right? And even the FBA fees and all that, you can get, Sourcing software charges you because Sourcing software uses their API to go grab these FBA fees and bring it right to you and put everything together, boom, and give you kind of like a profit calculation, right? The advantage of this is that you can look it up yourself, plug in your own FBA fee, and then you can do things like sometimes the cost thing needs to be changed. Sometimes it's a wholesale type of situation although it's a retail supplier, meaning they might be selling, if you buy a certain number of units, you get a discount, and you might want to calculate that out. You can do that with the spreadsheet. You can't do that with sourcing software. It's not flexible enough for that. Okay. So there are a lot of advantages to using a spreadsheet like this. Not to mention, it can work with any supplier. I can go on any supplier website. You can go on any supplier website, pull these products off the page, and do this matching process. It doesn't even matter what website it is, because I'm not connecting to the website and pulling the data. So you're pulling it, you're basically manually downloading the data with a free Chrome extension. So you can use this with any supplier. So there are a lot of, advantages to using something like this. Not to mention the money you can save on sourcing software right off the bat. Okay. So that's about it. I mean, I'm just pointing out, it's not even that I'm trying to really sell the spreadsheet or anything. I'm just pointing out facts about the advantages I have found in using spreadsheet automation versus using sourcing software. And those are the advantages. Any supplier you want, less expense, more flexibility, and cost and profit calculations and how you calculate them, right? Being able to unbundle items and do all that stuff. There are disadvantages too. Speed, it's slower, it takes longer, things like that. But but the advantages are the advantages as well. So anyway, that's about it. I should have some more videos. Like I said, I'll have to run the browser automation. I'll have to do that follow-up video so you can see that complete process. And perhaps if I find a few more products in here. Actually, when you run the browser automation, it will fill in all of these prices and everything. Okay, all of that stuff is going to get filled in here on the spreadsheet. And then it becomes way easier to determine which products are profitable, because you won't be opening them one by one and plugging in the prices. I only did that once for this product. You won't have to do that for all the other products. Once you run the browser automation and you get the product prices in here, we're going to have profit estimates over here that we can start to look at right away. All right. So that's about it. So look, if you're interested in using the spreadsheet to source products, if you're interested in my approach of sourcing products, manual sourcing, find the link in the description of this video. I have a link. First of all, I have a course on manual sourcing for Amazon. The course, what it does is embodies and it collects everything together in one place, so you can see the main way that I think about sourcing and how I approach it with the brands. And it's really not super unique. Other people have been teaching this stuff too for years, working with the brands, taking the brand that the supplier sells and searching the brand on Amazon. I didn't create that, but this is just what people have been doing that works over the years for sourcing products. It puts all of that together so you have it in one place. And then also eventually goes into using these spreadsheets like this matcher. This video will be included in there, as a matter of fact. Using these spreadsheets to find products. Okay, so find that link so you can get further training. And then if you're interested in using the spreadsheet, you can actually use the spreadsheet, or you can download all the Amazon tools, all the Amazon spreadsheets I made together as one package as well. So just see the description, follow the links, and they'll pretty much take you to where you need to go to do all of that. I'm Mr. Mark, by the way, and this is from Tools for Sellers, specifically for Amazon sellers in this case. And I look forward to either hearing from you or seeing you around in another video.